Welcome to Home Buying Made Simple. I'm Lisa Williams, broker and owner of Williams and Associates Realty. I'm excited to introduce to you someone who plays an important role in the home buying journey. One of our trusted lending partners, Brynn Sorenson. Brynn is a senior loan officer and CRA specialist with CIBM Mortgage, and she brings not only years of experience, but also a true heart for helping people achieve their dream of homeownership. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, moving up, or investing, Brynn has a gift for finding the right solutions and making the journey feel simple and stress-free. I'm proud to have her here today, and I'm excited to hear about what products and services they have to offer. Good morning, Brynn. How are you today?
Very well, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And it's a wonderful day, so we decided to do this outside, because
While the weather's nice.
While the weather is nice. And just wanted to go over with CIBM Mortgage. Many people may not have heard about it. So I want you to share a little information about the mortgage company and then also yourself.
Okay. So I've been in the business for over 20 years. And CIBM Mortgage is part of CIBM Bank. Our headquarters are out of Illinois, but we do have two banks here in Wisconsin, both off of Blue Mound Road, one in Elm Grove, one in Brookfield. So we not only have that banking, we also have, the mortgage side of things. So it's a great combination to be able to help customers in multiple different ways.
Okay, great. And then with CIBM Mortgage, are they working a lot in the community and providing some community lending products?
Yes, so we do have various different loan products. We have FHA, we have WIDA, we can do a first and a second with WIDA that will help cover down payment and closing costs. We do have conventional loans, VA loans, but we also have our FHLBC down payment assistance for 10K. I do work a lot with the local nonprofits where we can layer that down payment assistance with different grant programs that they offer, such as the Milwaukee grant that is 5,000 to 7,000, or the CDA grant that is 8,000. So I work with X Housing, Housing Resources, La Casa, so various different entities we partner with and try to help the people in the community that do need that extra help with the grants to be able to get to purchasing a home. Most of the time it's first time home ownership, so I really enjoy helping people get to the point of tears at closing where they're overjoyed, right. And they're bringing their whole family in for the pictures because they're so proud and just can't believe that
this is finally happening.
Yes, you see so much of that, and I think as a lender, in a lot of cases, you are looking at those numbers, but there's the human side of it where this is impacting somebody's family, possibly for more than one generation. And it's going to choose what school that child goes to that's in that family, that they have their own bedroom, that they are able to have their own identity by customizing their surroundings,
changing their lifestyle a little bit, because now I'm owning this.
Correct.
I'm not just renting. This is mine. I'm owning this.
Yes.
I can change the colors. I can add my own decor.
Exactly.
Because this is mine.
Exactly. And people just to be able to have their friends and family over and have that pride to have a barbecue in the backyard. I mean, there's so much that by making this happen for somebody, and that you're working as a team with them, and they're just as big of a part in making that happen for themselves as you are. Right. But especially when someone goes through programs where it's been a long journey for them to maybe fix their credit, or go through the education programs, and just to have the confidence to be able to take the steps to get there and go through all that, that it's a huge accomplishment on so many levels for people. So it's the best feeling when you get to the closing and you see somebody just so touched by the entire process. So that's my thing that I like to be able to, give and be able to feel that really wonderful feeling with people at the closing table where they're just so excited and happy.
Right. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is working with the grant programs. Um, are there any restrictions or guidelines or anything specific with regards to getting those grants?
Yes. So it's going to depend upon area in some cases. So, for example, the Milwaukee grant is only going to be in the city of Milwaukee. You have to live in the city, buy in the city. The CDA grant, for example, anywhere in Milwaukee County, it doesn't matter if you're living there or not, but it does open up some additional areas to people to be able to get those funds. And our FHLBC we can do anywhere in Wisconsin, so that's really nice. So if one doesn't apply, the other may apply. There are also income restrictions. So it is dependent on the number of people in the household, not necessarily people that are going to be on the loan, but let's say you have a disabled spouse, they're not going to be on the loan. Maybe their credit isn't, good to where you just want to have the one person on the loan for whatever reason. But for the grant purposes, we will need to include that income because we can only go to a certain amount of income per the number of people in the household. So it's nice when there's dependents in the household, where the dependents can kind of add to your qualifying ability, because you can have a higher income and still get the grant.
Okay. And when they come to you for a pre-approval, how long does that process usually take? And then once they get the pre-approval loan, how long is the pre-approval good for?
Okay. So the pre-approval is going to first consist of you filling out a loan application, me pulling the credit, looking at making sure all that looks good. We're going to get your income and asset documentation to make sure that the income will qualify, that if you're putting money down, that you have the assets in your bank account or other investments, or if it's 401k you're pulling it from. So that process is going to kind of depend a lot on the client and how quickly they get those documents over to me. So, I can do it fast, within, an afternoon. So it's not a process that's going to take long unless you're not able to get documents quickly or you're missing things. That can slow the process down a little bit. But from there, you're going to get the pre-approval letter. That's good for 60 days. It's easy to renew. You just need updated, pay stubs, bank statements. And then from there, you're getting the pre-approval letter with the client, and yay, you're going to go out shopping, and you're going to have your parameters set on, how high you can go on a purchase price. One thing to look out for is the taxes. So you want to really watch the taxes right now, especially with the prices being where they are, with people kind of being on the cusp of debt to income ratio being quite high. I have realtors that I work with send over the property and what the taxes are, because maybe you can go to a higher price point if those taxes are lower.
Right.
So, we're looking at that, or maybe you have to go to a lower price point because those taxes are higher. So I like to keep a good eye on that on every property so that you have the flexibility and you're not writing on something that's not going to work.
Right. One of the things that you just mentioned, and people may not know this, but debt to income ratio, that's going to vary depending on the loan product as well, correct?
Yep. So on certain loan products, for example, like FHA, you can go to higher debt to income ratio. What debt to income ratio is when I pull the credit and see what your monthly payments are. So not the balances, but what the monthly payments are. That's what I'm looking for, going against your income plus the new house payment, so the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So the combination of your debts plus your new housing payment against your income is going to give me a ratio, and certain ratios will qualify for different types of loan products. But in a lot of cases, right now, we are looking at trying to constantly get that debt to income ratio up. So we're looking at products that we can, make that fit because the prices are so high.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so the combination of the higher interest rates, plus the interest rates are coming down,
Right.
but the higher interest rates and the housing prices make us want to stretch the debt to income ratio out to try to get people into more house.
So when you meet with an individual, you'll be able to determine which loan product will fit their needs based on their income and their debts. So is that how you kind of calculate that, or how would you rate conventional over FHA? I really shouldn't say rate, but determine whether or not a person should go FHA because they have their own guidelines as opposed to going through conventional. Who actually determines that?
I'm determining that based on the situation that somebody is presenting. So it might be because of credit scores. We're going to have to go FHA because of things in your background. It simply isn't passing going conventional. It could be, like I said, we want to stretch that debt to income ratio out so that we can buy more house. FHA is a good one for that. You can look at WIDA, you can look at Home Ready, Home Possible, which are the affordable programs. You can stretch that out a little further. Conventional, you will have PMI on a conventional, however, only if you're over and above the 80% mark. So if you're putting 20% down, you're not going to have that PMI, but it is sensitive to your scores. So even if you run it going conventional, maybe that interest rate and the PMI is higher, where you're better off going FHA, even if you don't need that debt to income ratio stretch. It all depends on the entire situation and what's going to work best for somebody. So conventional is usually people that have the higher credit scores, less issues on credit in the past, so just cleaner credit, and again, if they put 20% down, they're not going to have the PMI. The PMI is going to fall off once you reach 78% loan to value. So again, different reasons why you use different products. WIDA is an excellent product, so maybe somebody can't qualify for the grants because their income is too high, but they qualify for WIDA because there is also an income limit on WIDA, but it's higher than with the grant program. So in that case, they may work out with WIDA, which has a lower interest rate. As of yesterday, it was like 5.875.
Oh, that's great.
And be able to do a second at on a 10-year same interest rate, and be a first-time home buyer and be able to take advantage of those excellent interest rates. But maybe they don't have enough money to put down, and that second's going to help them get there, and they couldn't get the grants, and so this works out perfectly for them.
I know that the grants are first come, first served basis. So when you are pre-qualifying someone, they have 60 days in order for them to find a property. And say, for an example, you qualified them under an FHA loan, and I know that there are some parameters with that, but they found a property that was a little bit less, did not need any requirements with regards to repairs and different things like that. The seller is also providing some closing cost assistance, so it kind of works in favor for the buyer as well. Would you look at possibly changing the product so that it will help the client in the long run,
Yep.
as opposed to what they were originally pre-approved at?
Yes. So just depending on those things and also what the client would want, maybe they want to have a certain product for certain reasons as well. You're always able to compare those things when the deal turns live. You have a property that you're putting that offer in on. And, many times, someone will say, okay, well, I went with this FHA pre-approval because I wanted to get to this higher price point and it wasn't working at conventional, but now I found this home that works with conventional. Can you run it that way? Also, the house isn't going to pass FHA.
Right.
So, and the seller saying, can you, is it possible? Because I don't think this is going to pass FHA. So, yeah, then of course you can go ahead and, try to shift that to conventional if that works, and then everything works out. So it's flexible. You're not going to have to end up with what you first started with, especially if you've been shopping for some time and some things drastically change. Like maybe you've worked on your credit scores, maybe you were very high on your credit card balances compared to the limit, and that was the only thing that was hurting you as far as scores go, and you've paid those down to 30% or less, and now your credit scores have jumped up. Certainly we can look at a different program if that fits the needs better.
Great. Now, a time frame. There is no limit to when a person can get in contact with you, or say that their pre-approval has expired. What is it that they will need to do to get that revived?
So they're just going to need to provide updated pay stubs and bank statements. If the year is changing and they've got another set of tax returns, then we'd need that. So, but it's very minimal to be able to go ahead and get that renewed. Not a big deal at all. So I would just renew the letter.
Now you're renewing the letter, but are you updating their credit report?
It depends on how long it's been, and if they're telling me that there's been some sort of changes in their situation, they switched jobs, or they took out some new credit, or whatever it might be. It's dependent.
Okay, right. Now you don't only work with first-time home buyers. You also offer or have a product with regards to investors as well, correct? Or no? Okay.
Yeah, DSCR, and that is minimal documentation. So the reason why somebody would want to use that program is if they're an investor, they have a lot of money to put down. So 20-25% down. They're going to be providing their asset statement showing that, plus in many cases an extra 6 months principal, interest, taxes, and insurance for the property that they're interested in buying, and be able to provide their driver's license. We're taking the application, we're pulling up the credit. If they want to close in an LLC, we need the LLC documents, but that's about it. And the payment with the new mortgage needs to be at or below what their rents would be on the property. So you need to be able to cover the mortgage with the rents at least, if not have some excess over and above that in profits.
So are we looking at 1 to 4 family, or can it be a higher number with regards to units?
So you can do 1 to 4 family. There are limits on the amount for the property. So $200K and then $160 for the loan amount is the minimum that you can go down to on the product. But there's also 5 to 7 units that can be done with a DSCR loan with some different parameters too. So it just depends.
Well, one thing that just popped in my head, which I don't know whether or not if you offer, but a lot of properties, especially in the city of Milwaukee, they may need some repair, some type of home repair, be it minimum or or not that it needs a full rehab, but if you have a rehab product, that's fine. But is there something that you have to offer with regards to repairs?
I don't I don't personally do them. There are repair programs out there, and you know that if somebody's going to be living in the property, so the difference between an investment property and somebody living in a property, so you can't do a DSCR loan on someplace that you're going to live. There are fix and flip type products that can be done, which would be for investors as well. But as far as like home renovation type products, I don't work with those for somebody that's going to live in
the property.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, awesome. Well, is there anything else that you think that we should know about with regards to CIBM mortgage?
I would just again basically say that me personally, I'm very invested with the clients. I do try to be able to, respond to them very fast and cover all their concerns and really guide them through the process to where they feel that they're not abandoned or left on you hear a lot of that when people come to you secondhand and they've had a bad experience with somebody, and they can see the difference between the way you're handling them and responding to them compared to what they had just been through. And it is a scary process for a lot of people, and it does cause a lot of anxiety. It's the biggest purchase most people will ever make. So especially if they have not done it before. So I think just, being there, guiding them, we all have the same types of, loan products in the business. There's going to be some variety, but, most of it's the same. It's really you choosing who you want to go with that's going to give you, the best respect, the best customer service, truly invested in, and heartfelt, trying to make a difference in your life and get you what you, really want, which is that home to provide for yourself or your family, which is such a huge thing in people's lives. It just changes lives. I mean, I was just sitting there the other day with a client that had a little tiny baby that was just, a couple months old. And I thought, wow, I'm, helping in the process of changing this whole baby's life, So who they're going to be friends with, where they're going to go to school, them having play dates in the yard. I mean, everything's different because of my involvement with helping them achieve that goal of home ownership. So it's pretty impressive when you think about how you help change people's life direction.
It becomes a greater impact than just buying the home. There's so much more that goes into that.
Yes.
So if an individual wants to get in contact with you, how may they do that?
They can call me at 414-241-3100. My email is brynn.sorenson@cibmmortgage.com. I'm sure Lisa will have the contacts up.
Yes.
But those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Brynn, so much for the information and joining me here today. Really appreciate all the information that you're able to share with us. So again, if you're looking into buying a property, again, just downsizing, moving up, or even looking into some investment properties, give Brynn Sorenson a call at CIBM Mortgage. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.